Welcome to Module 1. We'll be covering the Greek alphabet today. This material would have been something you read about in chapters 1 through 3. Chapter 4 is a separate instructional video in which we'll cover punctuation and syllabication. But here we're really just going to focus on chapter 3, with chapter 1 and 2 being kind of an introduction to the course and to the language of Greek. In chapter 3, we have both the full lowercase alphabet as well as the uppercase or capital letters. And we'll be focusing mostly on the lowercase letters because those are the ones that you'll be using for the most part throughout the course. But before I begin, just a friendly reminder, you should have already printed out the study guide that accompanies the instructional videos. Every slide that you see in the instructional videos is in the study guide. And the study guide is something that I've asked you to print out. It's about 60 plus pages. You're supposed to print it out, have a hard copy form, 3-ring hole punch it, put it in a binder, so that every time you turn on the instructional video, you have the study guide right in front of you. And the purpose of this is that as we go through the instructional video, there will be at times where I actually ask you to fill in blank paradigms, going over Greek forms. Sometimes there's some exercises where we'll put into practice immediately what we'll learn. And you'll be writing all of that in the printed copy of the study guide, which is meant to follow the chapters of your textbook in Mounce, and a way for you to engage interactively with the instructional video for each module. So let's begin with the introduction of the Greek alphabet. And really the two things that you'll want to learn as you study the Greek alphabet is the name of the letter and also how to pronounce it in use. The name of the letter and how to pronounce it in use. So let's begin with the lowercase letters. And here we have the word alpha. This is the letter alpha, and it's pronounced ah, as in father. So the name of the letter is alpha, but when you actually see it used in a word, you won't say alpha when you see the letter. You'll pronounce it ah. This is beta, and it's pronounced, so beta, this is the name of the letter, and it's pronounced b, as in bat. And what you'll notice is that a lot of the Greek letters sound very similar to English with some exceptions. This is gamma, and it's pronounced g, like in goat or game. This is delta, and it's pronounced d, as in dog or dunderhead. This is epsilon. It's a short sound or e sound, as in pet or bet. This is zeta. It's a short, it's a z sound. Zeta as in zebra or zillion. This is eta. It has a long a sound, but it's often transliterated with an e with a line over it for a long sound. So it'd be equivalent to like they, they, or curds and whey, whey. So it's a, it's a long a sound, and the letter is eta. This is theta, and its sound is th, as in thing or that. This is iota, and depending on its use, and I'll explain this later, but depending on its use, it'll either have a short I sound, like in hit or bit, or it can have a long E sound, as in machine. So it's either I or E. This is kappa, and kappa has that k sound, as in, I don't know, what's a big letter? Kite, k, as in kite. Lambda, it's an L sound, so l, as in lamb. M has a m sound, as in like the sound that cow makes, moo, m, or mom, or moose. Then you have Nu, and I know that looks kind of like a V, but it's not a V. And actually, when you write it, it kind of looks more like this. Looks like a little bird in the background. It's curvy. But this is the equivalent to the N. So it's like in Nancy, a N sound, or neighbor. This is Kasi, and it's not quite an X sound, like in my name, Max or Axe. But it has a K sound. So you have to pronounce the K sound, the K or C sounding letter, but you also have to pronounce the S sounding letter. So it's Ks. So it's often actually written in English like KS or X, but it is Kasi. That Kasi's name, the letter Ks, is the sound that you make. This is Omicron, and Omicron has a short ah sound like in hot, or bot, like in robot. This is P, and I know that any elementary school student who's taken a math class thinks of this, pronounces this Greek letter as pi, but that's actually a Latinization of the pronunciation. And in Greek, the letter is pronounced P, and it has a P sound like in Peter or Paul. This is Rho, and has an R sound like in road or rhetoric. This is Sigma, and you have two forms. The first letter is used when it's anywhere in the word except the very last letter. But if you happen to use the letter sigma as the very last letter of the word, then it has this form, and it's only found as the last letter of a word. And sigma is the S sound, so S as in snake or sizzle. This is tau, and that's the letter that makes the T sound, T as in tater tots, top. Upsilon, I know it looks like a U, and you might be tempted to pronounce it like a short U sound in English, but you have to hold back and not try to pronounce it that way. It actually kind of has a short oo sound, so it's upsilon. That's the name of the letter, and it's pronounced oo. So think of a cow that's short of breath. So instead of moo, it's like moo. So it's oo. And so that's the name, that's the sound that upsilon makes. This is phi, and that has an F sound. So just think of phone, like in telephone, PH, or phonetic, F. This is he, and I know that's hard to pronounce, he. So it's a scratchy sound in your throat. It's a guttural sound. It's not quite K like in kappa, and it's not hello, like a very soft H. It's he. So you have to, so he. And it's an important word, like Horace is the word where we get the word grace from. That's he. And it's pronounced with a ch sound, a ch. Like if you are a Trekker and you like Star Trek, then try to pronounce he as if it was Klingon, and you'll get it. This is Psi. I know it looks like a pitchfork, but this is Psi, not Psi, but it's Psi, and you do need to pronounce both the P sounding part of it and the S. Now I know that in English, if we were to write PS, we would make the P silent, like in psychology, but in Greek you pronounce the P, so it's ps, 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 like in lips. So the last part of lips, you would pronounce it ps. And this last letter is omega, and it's pronounced with a long O, as in road or phone or alone. So it's an O sound. So let me go over the names of the letter, and let's kind of clear the board here. So I'm going to clear the board, and let's go over the names of the letter, and then I'll go over the pronunciation of the letter. So this is alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, Chi, Omicron, P, Rho, Sigma, this is final sigma, Tau, Upsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. Those are the names of the letters. And so at the bottom, you have the capitals of the same letters. So this would also be alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, Xi, omicron, P, Rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. We'll have some practice with the capital letters more in chapter 4, but really what I want you to focus on a lot is really recognizing well the lowercase letters. So those are the names of the letters. Let me erase this. And if I were to pronounce them, though, if we were actually going to read them in Greek. So for example, if I were to write a very well-known Greek word, logos. Now the letters are, the letters would be, let me change the color here. This is a lambda, this is an omicron, this is a gamma, this is an omicron, this is the final sigma. So that's the name of the letters, but I wouldn't pronounce it that way. When I read the sounds together, it'll be logos. Logos. Why don't you say it with me? Logos. In fact, whenever I pronounce words, feel free to pronounce them with me. I think if phonetically you try to say the words, you'll learn them better. So what are the sounds then? So I'm going to clear this out. And now we're going to go, I'm just going to say the sounds of the letter as I read them. So not the names, but the sounds. So this is A, B, G, D, E, Z, A, Th, Th, I, or long E. So it can be I or E, K, L, M, N, X, A, P, P, R, S, S, T, U, F, H, Ps, Ps, O. So I just pronounced the letters as if I was trying to read them. So if I were to write this word, this is the word for life. It's the word where we also get the word psychology from. But this is pasuche, pasuche. So I'm pronouncing the phi here as pursue. And then this is transliterated hey, pasuche. Sometimes the upsilon is written as a y, and so you can see the word psyche, that pasuche. But this is pronounced pasuche in Greek, and this is the word for life. So that's the pronunciation. Why don't you pause the video and take some time to practice this? So pause the video and practice the letters in terms of how they're pronounced, and practice naming the letters. Now to help you to name the letters, I also want to teach you the alphabet song. And I'm a terrible singer, so I hope that you'll forgive me for maybe being a little bit out of tune, but I'm going to try to sing this as best I can, and then you do better than I do and sing it in a much better melodic voice than my out of monotone voice that I have. So I'm going to try my best. I hope I don't make a fool of myself. Here we go. Here's the alphabet song so you can learn the names of the alphabet in sequence. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, Xi, omicron, P, Rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, Psi, Omega. All right, Everyone do it with me. Are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, chi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, he, psi, omega. All right.